Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and today we're going to be talking about some crazy Super Smash Bros. Leaks, because it looks like Gardevoir is going to be a fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now, why are we just talking about some random Super Smash Bros. Leaks? Well, that's because when it comes to the Smash Ultimate Direct, right before it was released, there was a massive leak that confirmed the contents of the Direct, that Simon Belmont, K. Rool, new game modes and features, and all kinds of crazy stuff like that have been leaked. And the thing about the Nintendo Switch is there's a lot of developers, there's a lot of third party, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, so there's been a lot of credible leaks getting out about just the Nintendo Switch in general. Something like this actually comes to mind. So remember the Nintendo Direct Mini that happened back in January? Well, rumor, Nintendo's set to reveal something Switch related this Thursday through a special video. So a lot of the Nintendo Directs have been called out. There's been so many correct leaks or rumors that turn out to be actual leaks about the Nintendo Switch, whether it's a Direct, new game announcements, stuff like that. And this is something that's been pretty consistent. And now with Super Smash Bros, there's quite a few that are starting to get more and more credible. And here's one that has Gardevoir in it, but also calling Simon Belmont and K. Rool, even Dark Samus, all the way back in July, July 1st. So let's look at this right here. Super Smash Bros. U, that's going to be July 1st. We had this information. I was working at CEO this year, managed to get a copy of the demo build for the tournaments. There were a few interesting things in the code for the character select. Simon Belmont Leaker had the Castlevania IP right, so now we're going back to even before all of this, when there was a Simon Belmont Leaker because of Castlevania IP, which turned out to be correct, but not the character. Richter Belmont's Japanese name was among those listed. So this one kind of half correct, half not. That Richter was confirmed according to this guy, but nothing about Simon. However, with the Echo Fighters and all that shenanigan stuff kind of coming out, you know, it's one of those things where it's alright, this was half right, half wrong, but then everything else was right. Kururu, King K. Rool, and Daku-S Dark Samus was underneath regular Samus. Both were listed, unsurprisingly. So yeah, we have Dark Samus as an Echo Fighter, so showing we have characters under characters, which are representative Echo Fighters, and then K. Rool and Dark Samus confirmed in the last Direct. Mario 2 was listed as a separate character. Have no idea what this means, but if I had to guess, either Paper Mario or Mario 64. Both of those are very plausible. Paper Mario has gotten a lot of coverage, and also is just an amazing character that people have been wanting in Super Smash Bros. For a while. Just a real staple of the Mario franchise. But even 64 Mario, that calls back to, you know, how we had Peach's Castle, and even the 64 Mario costume for Mario Odyssey. So I mean, just kind of throwing more Mario into the party, that's not going to be a bad thing at all. And then we have Sir Knight. Gardevoir's Japanese name was among them. Interestingly, Lucina, Dark Pit, Daisy are all listed as their Echo counterparts. Gothitelle was underneath her. I presume that Gothitelle is going to be an Echo Fighter of Gardevoir. Now, this is some crazy stuff. July 1st saying K. Rool, Dark Samus, Simon Belmont, or at least Castlevania IP, while also mentioning all these other things, and then even bringing us Mario 2. Has Gardevoir alongside of it. So there's some crazy credibility going on with this, and when I was thinking about it, I was like, wait, Gardevoir? I understand the fan service, but would Gardevoir actually work in Super Smash Bros? The answer is yes, it's in Pokken. So if you take that into consideration, that makes even more sense, because Pokken Tournament, that game wasn't out when we had Super Smash Bros. Wii U, so now we're having all these new fighters and all these new Pokemon fighters that could be added into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Gardevoir would be a crazy fan service representation, different playstyle kind of Pokemon, because I feel that if you add in something like Incineroar, it's going to be similar to Lucario. Lucario covers a lot. Decidueye or Gardevoir would bring a more, ranged base kind of fighting to it, and I'm guessing that, if they either choose both of them, or if they choose one, Gardevoir is going to be this crazy fan service representation. That also makes a lot of sense. So I found this video. I haven't played Pokken Tournament. I haven't watched insane amounts of gameplay, so I don't understand Gardevoir's playstyle or how it fights too well, but I found this video from Stealthless on YouTube, kind of showing off the Gardevoir with the basic character guide. So I mean, Gardevoir technical, projectile heavy, And that sounds like something that would fit for a Pokemon inside of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And as we go and watch the fighting style, it has a full roster that could be integrated into Smash attacks, as well as just having a lot of special attacks. Special attacks generally being named for Pokemon attacks inside of Super Smash Bros. And maybe Smash attacks just being like random aura or psychic based attacks, which I think is pretty cool. So it could be like a mix between Mewtwo, Lucario, but also having a lot of range in like crazy fairy and psychic attacks. And that's kind of what we see in the Super Smash Bros. Or not Super Smash Bros. In the Pokken Tournament attacks. So we have Psyshock, Moonblast, Stored Power, Calm Mind, Magical Leaf, Future Sight, and then the burst attack being Fairy Tempest, and inside of Calm Mind has a counter. So Beat Down for Calm Mind could have a lot of interesting effects. Maybe could either just act as a counter, even though we don't need even more counter-based characters inside of Super Smash Bros. But if Calm Mind is like a Beat Down or something, maybe it could actually power up the next special attack that's used if successfully activated, or has multiple effects like we see in Pokken Tournament. Can transition into Dazzling Gleam, a counter if A is pressed, Psychic, which stops the opponent if X is pressed, Teleport if B is pressed, or Energy Ball if Y is pressed. So I mean, another Teleport Pokemon recovery, that makes sense. Magical Leaf would be a really interesting one, or just straight up like Moonblast, Psyshock. Maybe Moonblast could be similar to Mega Man's, like a more projectile, close to mid-range, just large ball attack on the smash. And then other things could just be like generic attacks for the other smashes, and I think that would actually make quite a bit of sense for the Gardevoir. And then just kind of comparing Gardevoir or even Lucario to Super Smash Bros. And how it could be a fighter and stuff. Lucario's moves for fighting, you know, the special moves are like named Pokemon attacks for a lot of the Pokemon. So Aura Sphere, that's just going to be your charge attack. We have Force Palm, we have Extreme Speed, we have Double Team, and they all have their own interactions. And then when it just comes to like dash attacks and aerials and ground attacks and stuff, it's just pretty much standard. So you just run around and you do your own thing, and I think Gardevoir would work in the game, especially because it's a fighter in Pokken Tournament. Now let's talk about Gothitelle, because Gothitelle was named as an Echo Fighter, and Echo Fighters are very similar, so I guess it's just kind of keeping along with that representation, and Gothitelle is a very popular Pokemon in Japan. So if we're just kind of playing on like, yo, we need a girl Pokemon fighter that can just beat everything down, that actually has something that can, you know, there's a basis for this Pokemon existing in the game, and even then, I think it kind of makes sense. So Gothitelle doesn't look the part, but it still works, especially if it's like an Echo Fighter. That means it's just going to ride off Gardevoir, and the Pokemon are similar. They're both Psychic-type Pokemon. They have roughly the same body structure. I don't see Gothitelle being that mobile or agile of a Pokemon, but overall, it has like the same relative attacks. So it could use like Psychic-based attacks, has telepathic abilities and stuff. So by running with that, I'm wondering how the moveset would line up compared to the Gardevoir. But Gardevoir, you look at it like that, yeah, it just seems pretty standard. You know, you think Lucario was born to be inside of a Super Smash Bros. Game. Gardevoir, its representation of Pokemon is pretty good. And then you can just kind of go and check out its moveset and see all the things that are possible right there. But being roughly the same to Gothitelle means that the Echo Fighters, they're being spammed all over the place. Like Daisy randomly being added in. Dark Samus, we had Chrom being confirmed, which I believe was also in the leak. So with that, you know, the Echo Fighter, a Pokemon coming with an Echo Fighter isn't like out of the ordinary right now. It doesn't like help confirm or debunk it, but it just seems like, you know, random Echo Fighters could just kind of be splashed in. So Gardevoir Gothitelle is pretty neat and kind of just like lines up with Super Smash Bros. Now Gardevoir is already inside of Super Smash Bros. As well, because it's a Pokemon that you can summon in a Pokeball. And if they just kind of change it, you know, Gardevoir appears as a Pokeball summon in both versions of the 4th iteration of the series. Once again, use Reflect to bounce off projectiles. So it started in Brawl, came back in the 4th gen. I wonder if they'd actually keep that. Like, Reflect as a B-side would be interesting. Like, you could just, like, use Gardevoir to kind of spam back projectiles, or maybe that is the B-down. And how much they're going to change it. So we are actually... Let's go and check out Gardevoir inside of it, because I haven't seen Gardevoir in a while. Maybe you guys haven't either. Yeah, I feel like Gardevoir could fit, and that's just kind of the crazy thing about Pokemon with Super Smash Bros. That there's hundreds and hundreds of different Pokemon, and only a few of them get to make it on the roster, but for the most part, they make sense. Also, adding a new Pokemon with all these, like, with all the new generations and all the new games and stuff that come out, it just makes sense. You know, it's like, all right, so we have well, not even new generations, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, a new Smash Bros. Game needs a new Pokemon, and maybe just throwing in Gardevoir as a surprise, that would work out pretty well. They brought back Mewtwo, which wasn't really a new Pokemon for Super Smash Bros. Wii U, and now Charizard goes back to Pokemon Trainer, and you have the ability to just kind of switch it whenever you want, so that's pretty cool. And overall, there's just tons of Pokemon, and there's a ton of new Pokemon, like the 7th generation. We have Alolan Raichu, we have Mimikyu, we have Alolan Vulpix, and there's been a lot of other new Pokemon that have been introduced as Pokeball summons for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I wonder if the page has... Yeah, I was wondering if the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate page on Pokemon had... Or just Super Smash Bros. Page on Pokemon had the Ultimate summons yet. I think we can find that on Cerebi, but overall, there's just a lot of Pokemon that have been different Pokeball summons over the years. Oh yeah, Alolan Executor also revealed at the Nintendo Direct with a few others. So we even see the Pyukumuku. We get a lot of gameplay, like screenshots and footage. So it just kind of shows that, you know, there's a lot of Pokemon representation. So having a new fighter thrown in, it works. I wonder if we'll get both Decidueye and Gardevoir. Like, a lot of people have been hyped for the Decidueye. I'd prefer to see that over Incineroar or some of the other new Pokemon. We did get some Mimikyu representation, which is nice. And we have Pichu returning. So Pokemon's going to look pretty fire for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I think that's going to be awesome, and if these leaks are true, because they called some other things over a month and a half ago, well, actually about a month and a half ago, it could be happening. So tell me what you guys think. Gardevoir as a fighter, I think it makes sense with Pokken. We don't really know the exact moveset or how they'll take it, but yeah, it can actually fight in a fighting game, and there's a couple of things that line up with that, and it doesn't seem completely out of place. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.